Hey guys, looking for new games similar to Resident Evil? Then you've come to the right place. We've started the list with Echoes of the Living, a survival horror game being developed by Moonglint that promises to bring a nostalgic experience inspired by the classics of the 90s, like Resident Evil, of course. The game features fixed cameras and fully 3D environments, combining modern graphics with the classic gameplay that fans of the genre love. The story takes place in a small European town in 1996, where a mysterious fog arises, triggering a series of terrifying events. The player's goal is to survive while unraveling the truth behind this dark incident. Continuing the list, we have Bio-Goddess Doomsday Begins, a third-person survival game that puts players in the shoes of a high school student. The game's setting is a school that has been hit by a biochemical crisis, creating a tense and challenging environment. Players will have to explore various scenarios, collect resources, and fight against threats that arise in the school environment. The combination of exploration and combat is central to the gameplay experience, allowing players to immerse themselves in the atmosphere of tension and mystery that permeates the story. Elise is a survival horror game that blends resource management with strategic challenges. In the game, it's possible to navigate through terrifying underground labyrinths filled with zombies, scavenge for vital supplies, and solve challenging puzzles. In the story, you take control of Elise, a young woman who awakens in a bunker amidst a zombie outbreak after a car accident. Guide Elise through harrowing challenges and face relentless hordes of the undead while trying to uncover the bunker's dark secrets. A.I.L.A. is a horror game that will be released soon and promises a terrifying and immersive experience. The game puts players in the role of a beta tester who needs to survive disturbing experiences created by an artificial intelligence called A.I.L.A. The game stands out for its theme centered on artificial intelligence, exploring the fears and consequences of a virtual world that becomes reality. The narrative promises to engage players in an intense experience, where the line between the real and the virtual becomes increasingly blurred. The game is developed with Unreal Engine 5 and uses advanced graphics technologies like Lumen and MetaHuman, providing an immersive and realistic experience. I.L.L. is a new first-person survival horror game being developed in Unreal Engine 5. It promises to deliver an immersive and disturbing experience, plunging players into a sinister and horror-filled environment. The game features monstrous and repugnant creatures that can be dismembered and broken in a perverse way. Despite the violence, the game is being developed with a realistic aesthetic, with high-quality physics and procedural animations that make each shot unique. The game offers a wide range of weapon and ammo upgrades, requiring strategic choices for survival. The player needs to explore new limits of horror, facing monstrous creatures and dark environments. Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days is a side-scrolling shelter survival game that challenges players to guide a desperate group of zombie apocalypse survivors to safety. The game takes place in Walton City, Texas in 1980, a coastal metropolis amidst a scorching heat wave and a debilitating economic crisis. Everything changes when an unstoppable zombie outbreak hits the coast. Walton City is soon overrun by hordes of the undead, and the few remaining survivors are cut off from any chance of outside help. Forced to band together, these ordinary citizens must head to a safe zone supposedly located outside the city, their only chance of survival. In Last Remains, players compete in a deadly survival game where the goal is to be the last player standing. However, this is not a typical battle royale, as it also requires strategy, stealth, and extraction. The world is infested with relentless zombies, including powerful bosses, and the survivors are ruthless, thinking only of themselves. Players collect loot throughout the game and try to extract, facing threats from zombies and other players. The game offers a unique experience with a rewarding game economy, customizable characters, and a post-apocalyptic world full of action and suspense. Mansion of the Dead is an adventure and indie game developed and published by Keikai Studio. The game puts the player in the shoes of Agent Kim, who is drawn into a chilling mystery in the middle of the desert. The player enters the mansion but is struck by an unknown force and wakes up in a cold and desolate room. The air is thick with apprehension, and the player realizes that they have become the newest prisoner of the cursed mansion. Mansion of the Dead is an adventure game that involves exploration, puzzle solving, and combat against zombies. The player must explore the mansion's dark corridors, unravel its sinister past, and piece together the clues to discover the mansion's secret. Nakwon, Last Paradise is a survival game in a post-apocalyptic world with zombies. The game takes place in Seoul, South Korea, and puts players in an environment where weapons are scarce, and the player needs to rely on their senses to survive. The game encourages exploration and resource gathering, with the need to infiltrate the city to find useful items. The player needs to be careful, as death means losing everything that has been collected. The game emphasizes stealth and strategy, with zombies being attracted by sound. Players need to move silently, use the environment for cover, and lure zombies into traps. Nobody's Left is a game set in a post-war apocalyptic city where survival becomes a constant struggle. The game is developed by Mad Rain Studio and promises an intense emotional narrative where players must protect their loved ones and adapt to a hostile environment where the rules of civilization have been replaced by the law of the jungle. The story unfolds in a scenario where the global situation is critical and a war has erupted in a country that was once considered peaceful. Players will face challenges that require responsibility and leadership as they try to survive in a world where safety is an illusion. Outbreak Island is an action and survival game that was recently announced, where players are sent to investigate a remote island. The game combines elements of survival horror with building and defense mechanics, creating an intense and engaging experience. Players must survive in a hostile environment, where a mysterious outbreak awakens bloodthirsty monsters at night. This adds a layer of tension to the game, as players need to not only explore, but also protect themselves and defend their bases against these creatures. The island, which is described as having ruins of an extinct volcano, hides secrets that threaten humanity, making exploration even more intriguing.
This place is full of surprises and dangers. But no matter what happens, stay human until the end.
Post-Trauma is a horror and survival game that promises to take players on a terrifying and immersive experience. Inspired by genre classics like Silent Hill and Resident Evil, the game combines modern elements with classic mechanics, creating a chilling atmosphere. The protagonist, Roman, a tormented machinist, wakes up in a surreal dimension after a terrible panic attack. From there, he needs to explore this alternate reality, filled with mysteries, puzzles, and terrifying creatures, to try to get back home. The game combines elements of exploration, puzzle solving, and survival. You will need to manage your resources, avoid the dangers of the alternate dimension, and face your deepest fears. Project Rebirth is an action and adventure game scheduled for release on December 13, 2024. The game takes place in a high-security prison where dangerous experiments have triggered a deadly mutation. The player takes on the role of a prisoner who needs to fight for survival in a hostile environment. The game features a dark, intense atmosphere with elements of psychological horror. The gameplay of Project Rebirth combines elements of exploration, puzzle solving, and combat. The player needs to explore the prison's dark corridors, unravel the dark secrets hidden in the shadows, and solve challenging puzzles to progress. The Midnight Walkers is a first-person shooter with horror elements developed by One Way Ticket Studio, a Korean company formed by industry veterans with over 15 years of experience. The game takes place in an environment teeming with zombies, where players will need to extract resources while fighting waves of enemies. The game takes place in the Liberty Grand Center, a 20-story building including a hospital, offices, shopping mall, parking lot, gym, and more. In each match, 8 random floors out of 20 are designated as battlefields. Players must team up and survive in an extreme survival game, fighting zombies and other players. Wronged Us is a survival horror game in development by Delusional Studio, scheduled to be released for consoles and PC. The game is inspired by genre classics like Dark Souls, Silent Hill, and Resident Evil. The game is based on a cinematic story that takes place in a detailed, abandoned small town. The player will explore this town, facing psychological horrors, solving puzzles, and fighting monsters along the way. The game is inspired by the atmosphere and story of Silent Hill, the gameplay and mechanics of Resident Evil, and the level design of Dark Souls. Well, that was the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you next time.